This is the story of Paul Whistlevady. Some of the events have been added to the story to help the listeners capture the events of the Vietnam War.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to NOM 65 News at 8. We have a special guest appearance as we further into the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. Today, we will have Paul Whistlevady joining us and sharing the many devastating experiences of serving in the Vietnam War. Some background information of Mr. Whistlevady is that he was 21 when he arrived in Vietnam in 1967 as a radio operator in an Army Armored Cavalry unit. Let's get to the man of the hour, Paul Whistlevady.
Thank you, Diane. I'm honored to be here today to commemorate this special event that has changed my life.
Well, I can only imagine what you've been through. It is to my understanding that you were one of the inside men of the radio unit. Would you care to tell us more about that?
Of course, Diane. Upon arriving at Vietnam, I was unaware of how different this war was going to be. First of all, the soldiers found different ways to escape the hardships of battle. One night, as I was resting in my unit, the Viet Cong rocketed the place. And of course it created quite a disturbance. The Viet Cong strategies were different than ours. They knew the land better and were well aware of how ambushing our tents could affect us. So one night there was a very large fire, and I remember all the guys in my unit putting on their sunglasses because it was very bright, and looking out at that incredibly large conflagration of all these bright colors and saying things like, "Wow, man, that's really cool." And I realized they were all stoned.
Yeah, that's true. Vietnam was a very different war. I mean, look at the effects of Agent Orange. Even though it was used more than 30 years ago, the effects still show today in people. Cancer has been linked to soldiers around Agent Orange. What was your relationship with the Agent Orange incident?
I didn't have all that much to do with it. They spread that stuff all over the forest, but I wasn't involved. Being a radio operator allowed me to be more behind the scenes, but some of my buddies are living out the effects of it.
Tragic. What are some other main events that you saw firsthand?
Well, the search and destroy missions, those are pretty brutal. It was hard for me to see all the civilians having to live out a war when they're not supposed to be there. I understand that in order to win the war, we had to make sacrifices. I just never thought that it would come down to this. So many Viet Cong fled into the cities or refugee camps just to stay out of danger. I recall one U.S. major saying, "We had to destroy the town in order to save it." I just feel bad, that's all.
I can see why. There were so many things about the war that those back home didn't realize. Being that you were a part of the radio unit, what was your part in the USS Maddox?
Well, Diane, I have a close spot in my heart for the USS Maddox incident. One of my buddies was the head patroller of that radio unit. I remember him telling me in a letter that he was confused about why we would be shooting at Vietnamese patrol boats if we hadn't been shot upon. This confusion led to Johnson's request for the approval of the Tonkin Gulf Resolution. This was basically a statement that allowed us to defend ourselves no matter how much trouble we got ourselves into.
Wow. For being in the war, you sure know a lot of things that went on behind the scenes.
Well, yes, Diane, I like to keep myself updated with the happenings of our country.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you again to Paul Whistlevady for his time.
You're welcome. Thank you, Diane, for having me.
And from all of us here, we would like to salute all of our men in war. I'm Diane, and you stay classy, San Diego.